I remember the moment like it was yesterday. The day I found $250,000 in cash hidden under my dead son's bed. My hands were shaking. My heart was pounding. And in that instant, I realized something that would shatter everything I thought I knew about my life, about my son, and about the woman I once loved. My name is Roland Thatcher. I'm 52 years old, and for 20 years I worked as a warehouse supervisor at Brennan Logistics, U. Nothing fancy, nothing glamorous. Just honest, hard work making sure shipments got where they needed to go. I believed in rules. I believed in doing things the right way. And I believed in my son, Colby, who was 24 when his life was ripped away from me. Colby was just starting out, full of ambition and promise, working as a dispatcher at Ridgefield Trucking Company. He called me every Sunday without fail, asked for advice about everything, from changing his car's oil to handling tricky coworkers. He was my boy, my pride, and then everything changed. My ex-wife, Jolene, once the love of my life. We met when we were 23, married 2 years later, and after 3 years of trying, Colby was born. For 20 years, I thought our family was solid. Sure, we had our fights, but nothing that would prepare me for what she did. Jolene worked in real estate, chasing the next big deal, always hungry for more. She was 5'6", auburn hair, green eyes, the kind of woman who could make the world pause when she walked into a room. I loved her once, and I trusted her. My older brother, Dwayne, runs a small auto repair shop on the south side of town. Built like a linebacker even at 55, with graying hair and hands stained with motor oil. Dwayne never married. He always said the shop was his wife, the cars his children. But he loved Colby like his own son, taught him to rebuild an engine at 16, never missed a football game, always there, a steady presence when the world felt uncertain. The courtroom. Oh, that courtroom was packed the day my life was ripped to shreds. Jolene stood there, pristine in a black dress that probably cost more than I made in a month. Tears dabbed delicately at her eyes, but I knew every single drop was fake. Her lawyer, Melvin Ashford, looked every bit the predator he was. $3,000 suit, voice smooth as silk, each word cutting into me like a scalpel. "Your Honor," he began, and I felt my stomach drop. Roland Thatcher's negligent approach to workplace safety directly contributed to his son's death. He raised Colby to believe that safety protocols were suggestions, not requirements. And now, because of his reckless teachings, Colby Thatcher is dead. I froze. My wife took the stand, pointed at me like a viper striking. "You killed him, Roland. Your negligence killed our boy." Every word, every accusation was a knife to my heart. The truth. I had always been a stickler for safety, fired men for skipping hard hats, wrote up workers for improper loading techniques, followed every protocol to the letter. But they had witnesses, 3 of my former co-workers, sworn to say things I never said, seen things I never did. The judge's gavel slammed down like a thunderclap. The court finds in favor of the plaintiff. $800,000 in life insurance, all marital assets awarded to Jolene. I lost everything. The house Colby grew up in, the savings account we'd built over 20 years, my reputation as a father. I became the man who supposedly killed his own son. The local paper ran it with a headline that would haunt me forever. Father's negligence contributes to son's workplace death. 3 months later, I was living in Colby's old apartment. Alone, desperate, haunted. That's when I found the lockbox, hidden under his bed. My hands shook as I lifted the lid, and inside, $150,000 in cash, neatly stacked in hundreds. 6 flash drives, labeled with dates going back 3 months before his death. And a note in Colby's careful printing. "Dad, if you're reading this, I'm gone." They'll probably make it look like an accident. The money is from them. I took it as insurance. The drives have everything. Start with the oldest one. Use the money to fight back, to clear your name because I know they'll blame you somehow. I'm sorry I didn't listen when you told me to stay out of it. I love you, Dad. Make them pay. I couldn't breathe. I couldn't speak. My son had been investigating a criminal operation at his company, drug trafficking, money laundering, conspiracy, and the person behind it all was sitting in that courtroom smiling, orchestrating the death of her own son for the life insurance money. Life before all this tragedy. It was simple, but it was good. I'd wake up at 5:30, make coffee in the blue mug Colby gave me for Father's Day when he was 10, and head to Brennan Logistics by 6:00. The crew respected me because I worked alongside them. I led by example, and I raised Colby the same way. He was proud of his job at Ridgefield, just 3 months into his career. I remember one Sunday breakfast, our ritual at Murphy's Diner on 10th Street. Just the two of us. Scrambled eggs, bacon, wheat toast, and coffee. Colby looked troubled, pushing his eggs around the plate. "Dad, something weird's happening at work," he said. "What kind of weird?" I asked. "Some drivers are making extra stops. Fuel receipts don't add up. GPS data shows routes that aren't scheduled." I set down my cup, my heart tightening. "Have you talked to your supervisor?" "Not yet. I wanted to be sure first. I've been documenting everything." I urged him to let the proper channels handle it, to not get pulled into office politics. But I could see the hesitation in his eyes. He had my brown eyes, sharp, cautious, questioning. "Dad, if anything ever happens to me, I want you to know I did this to make you proud." "Nothing's going to happen." I laughed, trying to lighten the tension. "The most dangerous thing you'll face is a paper cut." But that smile, it didn't reach his eyes. 2 weeks later, the call came. Frank Newcomb from Ridgefield Trucking. "Mr. Thatcher, there's been an accident. You need to come to Mercy Hospital." By the time I arrived, my son was gone. A shipping container had somehow come loose, crushing him against a loading dock wall. The investigation lasted barely 72 hours. Improper safety procedures, they said. My negligence, they claimed. And Jolene, she filed for divorce 1 week after Colby's funeral. Delivered to me at work during lunch. My crew watched as my world collapsed. But then, the lockbox. The cash, the drives, the note, and the videos, spreadsheets, audio recordings, evidence of everything. My son's investigations, the criminal activity, and the horrifying truth. My wife had planned our son's death for the money. Every day since finding that box, I've gone through the drives. Each video more chilling than the last. Conversations, meetings, plans, everything documented. The evidence of her betrayal is staggering. Every lie I was accused of, it was reversed in an instant. My son had known. My son had prepared. And now I have to make them pay. I replay the memory of breakfast, his troubled eyes, his careful documentation, the last words he said, full of love, full of warning. I feel the weight of it all. His life, his trust, the betrayal of the woman I once called my wife. And yet, amidst the grief, there's a fire inside me that refuses to die. Every day, I go through his files, connecting dots, uncovering secrets. Each flash drive reveals another layer of deception, another piece of the puzzle. The people he trusted, the people I trusted, are not who I thought they were. Every decision, every conversation, every hidden recording brings me closer to the truth and closer to justice. I remember Dwayne's words during that barbecue, the subtle warning I ignored. "Roland, watch yourself. She's changed." I should have listened. I should have seen the signs. But Colby did. He saw, and he acted. He became the protector, even in death, leaving me the tools to uncover the horrifying reality and clear my name. Now, I live in Colby's apartment, a ghost of the life I had. But each day I dig deeper into his investigations. I feel his presence guiding me, pushing me forward. The people who thought they could destroy us, they have no idea what's coming. I know the fight ahead is dangerous. I know the path is treacherous. But I also know one thing for certain. My son was a good man. He was smart, he was careful, and he trusted me to carry on the mission he couldn't finish himself. As I plug in the next flash drive, a chill runs down my spine. The files on the screen reveal names, connections, and operations I never imagined. The web is bigger than I thought, and the stakes higher than ever. But one thing is clear. This is not just about money, not just about revenge. This is about truth. And the truth will come out, no matter the cost. The nights are long. The apartment feels empty without him. Yet every time I open another file, every time I uncover another secret, I feel closer to Colby, closer to justice, closer to unraveling the nightmare that started with his death and spread into every corner of my life. And I know, somewhere in the shadows, they're watching. They think I'm broken. They think I'm defeated. But they haven't seen what a father scorned, armed with the truth his son left behind, is capable of. I sit there, surrounded by evidence, money, memories, and the weight of betrayal, knowing the story is far from over. Every day, the pieces fall into place. Every recording, every spreadsheet, every note from Colby brings me closer to exposing the unimaginable. And deep down, I feel it. The fire, the rage, the determination. Colby trusted me, and I will not fail him. Because once the world sees what I've discovered, once the truth comes out, nothing will ever be the same. And the people who thought they could get away with murder, they're about to learn a lesson they'll never forget. The next flash drive clicks into place. The screen lights up. Names, dates, conversations, plans. And as I watch, my jaw tightens, my fists clench. This isn't just evidence. This is the beginning. The beginning of exposing a life built on lies, of revealing the shocking depths of betrayal, and of making those who thought they were untouchable finally pay. And as the shadows of that night creep across the apartment and the city outside hums unaware of the storm about to hit, I feel something I haven't felt in months. Hope. Because Colby didn't just leave me grief. He left me weapons, you, and the war for justice has only just begun. The day the yellow envelope arrived, my world tilted on its axis. It wasn't just divorce papers inside that thick, weighty envelope. It was a death sentence, disguised as legal bureaucracy. Jolene, the woman I had spent 26 years of my life with, was filing a wrongful death lawsuit. According to her, my negligent teachings had directly caused Colby's death. She, the mother of my child, had decided that the man who loved, protected, and guided our son was now the enemy, the villain. Her lawyer, Melvin Ashford, was a predator in a tailored suit. His every word was designed to slice through the truth and paint me as the reckless father who valued speed over safety, efficiency over care, and ambition over life itself. I remember that first meeting with my own lawyer like it was a cruel dream. "Roland," he said, sliding a stack of depositions across his desk, "they have 3 witnesses who say you regularly bragged about bypassing safety protocols. These are sworn statements from your co-workers." I stared at the pages, unable to comprehend. Jerry Watts, my co-worker of 15 years, claimed he had heard me say safety regulations were for desk jockeys who'd never worked a real day in their lives. Monica Flores swore she had seen me teaching Colby dangerous shortcuts during a Bring Your Kid to Work day a decade ago. Rick Polson testified that I often said, and I quote, "OSHA can kiss my ass," during safety meetings. My hands shook. My voice barely rose above a whisper. None of this is true. I tried to reason it, to explain the grudges and hidden resentments that had motivated these false statements. Jerry owed me money from a Super Bowl bet years ago. Monica had just been written up for a mistake I reported. And Rick, well, I had twice recommended against his promotion because he was unsafe. All of them had motives, but proving it? That was impossible. Their words were stacked against mine, and 3 voices always sound louder than one. The courtroom the day of the hearing was packed. standing room only. Jolene had ensured everyone knew about it, even granting a pretrial interview to the local news about seeking justice for her son. She arrived like a storm in designer black, hair perfect, tissues at the ready, exuding the image of a grieving widow, a mother consumed by loss. But I saw the sharpness behind her eyes, the calculation, the cold precision. Ashford took control immediately, every word a weapon, every pause carefully timed for effect. "Ladies and gentlemen of the court," he began, "Roland Thatcher spent 20 years teaching his son that rules were meant to be broken, that safety was secondary to efficiency. That philosophy directly led to the preventable death of Colby Thatcher." Then Jolene took the stand, and what she delivered was nothing short of Oscar-worthy manipulation. Tears streaked her face, perfectly timed, her voice trembling but rehearsed. "Roland always cut corners on safety," she said, her eyes locking onto mine. "He taught Colby that safety regulations were suggestions. Our son learned from his father, and it killed him. I begged him to be more careful, but he thought he knew better than everyone. And now, our baby is gone." Ashford piled on, reinforcing every accusation, presenting me as a man who valued speed over life, productivity over caution. When asked about workplace safety, Jolene claimed I had gamed the system, intimidated employees, and turned a blind eye to hazards for personal gain. The 3 witnesses each delivered rehearsed accounts, coordinating their stories down to dates, times, and specific phrases I had allegedly uttered. Jerry, Monica, Rick, all painting a picture of a father whose negligence had become lethal. My brother Dwayne, my rock, the man who had loved Colby like his own, was barred from testifying. Biased, the court said, a family member with an agenda. My spotless 20-year safety record at Brennan Logistics, a record that had never seen a single incident, was dismissed as irrelevant. The safety awards I'd earned were called meaningless, participation trophies, irrelevant to my parenting, and then came the judgment. Swift, ruthless, devastating. The court awards the full life insurance payout of $800,000 to Mrs. Jolene Thatcher, along with all marital assets including the family home, savings, and investments. Outside the courthouse, she performed again. $800,000 won't bring back my son, she said, voice sweet for the cameras. But at least justice was served. Maybe Roland will think about what he's done. Maybe other fathers will learn from his mistakes. I stood there, numb, watching the woman I had loved for over 2 decades celebrate my destruction. I couldn't move, couldn't speak. My life, my family, my reputation. All gone. I moved into a studio apartment on the wrong side of the town, the kind of place where the radiator clanged all night and neighbors argued through paper-thin walls. For 3 months, sleep eluded me. Every night I saw Colby's face, heard his voice, felt the guilt of having dismissed his concerns at breakfast that fateful morning. Dwayne tried to help. Groceries, silent companionship, urging me to fight, to resist. "This isn't right, Roland. Jolene's lying and we both know it," he'd say. I had no money. She had taken everything. Not a penny left for a proper appeal. My nights were filled with nightmares. Colby calling for help, me frozen, helpless, and to cope, I started drinking. Whiskey became a shield, a mask, a comfort in the endless grief. Then, 3 months after the trial, a call changed everything. Paul Brenner, the landlord of Colby's apartment, reached out. "Mr. Thatcher, your son's lease has 2 months remaining. What do you want to do with his belongings?" Jolene had been too busy spending the insurance money to care about his apartment. A Mercedes, a condo near the lake. Her life moved on, while I was left in ruins. The thought of strangers discarding Colby's belongings tightened my chest. "I'll take over the lease," I heard myself say. "I'll move in. I'll handle everything." "Are you sure that's healthy?" Paul asked gently. But I had no choice. This was all I had left of my son. With Dwayne's help, I moved into the apartment. Every object, every book, every piece of clothing screamed, "Colby." His coffee mug sat on the counter, unwashed, a ring of dried coffee at the bottom. His jacket hung by the door, the calendar still turned to the month he died, Sundays marked for our breakfast tradition. His PlayStation paused mid-game, his work boots lined neatly by the entrance, laces still tied. The scent of his cologne lingered, mingling with the faint smell of cinnamon candles he'd like to burn. The first 2 days, I didn't unpack. I just sat among his things, breathing in the memories, reliving the mornings, the dinners, the laughter, the quiet moments that now felt like a lifetime ago. His bookshelf, stacked with mystery novels and technical manuals, called to me. His life, frozen in time, was both comforting and agonizing. On the 3rd day, I decided to pack his bedroom, to do something productive, something tangible. I started with his closet, folding clothes carefully, remembering every purchase, the shirt from his college graduation, the tie for his first day at Ridgefield. Then, the bed. I pulled off the sheets and lifted the mattress, my heart hammering in my chest. There, tucked against the wall, hidden beneath layers of dust, was a metal lockbox, roughly the size of a briefcase, secured with a combination lock. My first thought was that it was private, something a son might hide from his father. But Colby was gone, and the careful way it had been concealed made my pulse race. This was something important, something that might change everything. I sat on the floor, trying every combination I could think of. His birthday, nothing. Our home address, nothing. Social security number, nothing. Then a memory flashed. The day he got his first bike, July 15th, 2008. He fell 6 times before finally riding down the street, each tumble followed by determination and laughter. When he finally rode, he came back grinning, the brightest smile I had ever seen. "Did you see me, Dad? Did you see me go?" The numbers clicked in my mind. 07150 And just like that, the lock clicked open. My hands shook. My heart raced. The air seemed to thrum with anticipation. Inside the box, I knew, without looking, that this was the moment everything would change. Because Colby, even in death, had left a trail, a map to the truth, a key to justice, and a secret so powerful it would shake the foundations of my life, revealing things I could never have imagined. The room felt smaller as I reached in. My fingers grazed the contents. Cash, documents, evidence. Each object throbbed with the weight of secrets, and in that moment I understood. The fight was far from over. In fact, it was only just beginning. The lockbox had been waiting, and now, so had I. The question was no longer if. I would uncover the truth. The question was how far I was willing to go to expose it, because Colby had trusted me with more than memories. He had entrusted me with the key to exposing a darkness I had never suspected. And I could feel it, pulsing in my hands, calling me forward into a path I couldn't yet see the end of. And as I lifted the first object from the box, my breath caught. The truth, buried for so long, was finally within reach, and I knew, deep in my bones, that nothing would ever be the same again. The day I finally opened that lockbox, I realized my life would never be the same. Click. The lock turned with a satisfying snap, and inside, my hands trembled as I stared at the first thing I saw. Stacks and stacks of $100 bills. Each bundle perfectly wrapped, neat, almost mocking me with its presence. I counted them slowly, each note shaking in my hands until the total came into focus. $250,000. $250,000. Where in the world had my son gotten this kind of money? And why had he hidden it from me? Beneath the money lay 6 flash drives, each carefully labeled with dates spanning the 3 months leading up to his death. And at the very bottom, a white envelope, pristine and delicate, with one simple word scrawled in Colby's careful handwriting. Dad. My chest tightened as I picked it up. Every nerve in my body screamed with anticipation and dread as I opened the letter, my fingers trembling uncontrollably. And then I read his words. Words that changed everything I thought I knew about his death. Dad, if you're reading this, I'm gone. They'll probably make it look like an accident. The money is from them. I took it as insurance. The drives have everything. Start with the oldest one. Use the money to fight back, to clear your name, because I know they'll blame you somehow. I'm sorry I didn't listen when you told me to stay out of it. I love you, Dad. Make them pay. I could hardly breathe. His handwriting, the familiar curves and angles I had known since he was a child, seemed to reach through the years and grab me by the soul. Colby had been planning this, preparing for the moment when I could finally act, when the truth could come out. I ran down 3 flights of stairs to my car, grabbed my laptop, and bolted back up. My hands shook as I inserted the first flash drive, dated 3 months before Colby's death. A folder opened immediately, revealing an arsenal of evidence. Video files, audio recordings, spreadsheets, and meticulously organized data. The first video made my stomach drop. Dash cam footage. A Ridgefield truck. Time-stamped. 2:47 a.m. on a Tuesday. Pulled into an abandoned warehouse where 3 unmarked vans waited. Men transferred boxes from the truck into the vans. Boxes not listed on any manifest. The second video showed the same operation at a different location. By the third, fourth, and fifth videos, a clear pattern emerged. Ridgefield Trucking wasn't just a company. It was a Uden front for moving illicit cargo, hidden beneath the facade of legitimate shipping. I opened the spreadsheet Colby had made. Truck numbers, driver names, dates, times, locations, and estimated values based on payment records. Every detail was precise, methodical. My son had been meticulous, the same way I had taught him. The numbers told a horrifying story. Ridgefield was moving millions of dollars in contraband every month. Then came the audio files. My blood ran cold. The first recording captured Frank Newcomb, Colby's supervisor, on the phone. The new kid in dispatch is asking questions. He pulled manifests from the last 6 months, comparing them to fuel receipts and GPS data. "Handle it," a voice ordered. Another voice responded, chillingly familiar. I recognized it instantly. Melvin Ashford, Jolene's divorce lawyer. My stomach dropped to my feet. The second flash drive revealed even more damning evidence. Photographs of shipping documents, altered manifests, and financial records showing drivers being paid for special deliveries. The third drive had recordings of meetings, planning every aspect of the operation in detail. Ridgefield Trucking was a pipeline for drugs from Mexico, distributed through carefully orchestrated drop-offs along legitimate trucking routes. The fourth flash drive made my stomach churn violently. It contained a conversation between Ashford and Newcomb about Colby's death. They spoke with clinical precision, discussing the container accident they were orchestrating, timing it, ensuring Colby would be in the precise spot to make it look accidental. They even planned a backup in case the container didn't kill him instantly. And then there was the fifth flash drive, the one I almost couldn't bring myself to open. It was labeled simply, "Mom's Betrayal." I swallowed hard, my pulse hammering. But I needed to know. I had to see the truth. The video played, and my world shattered. It was filmed in our living room, the one we had bought for our 10th anniversary, the couch where we had watched movies, celebrated birthdays, and opened Christmas presents. There was Jolene sitting elegantly, a glass of wine in hand. Across from her, Ashford. I wasn't home that day. Colby must have hidden a camera before leaving for work. "The insurance policy is worth $800,000, Ashford said, pouring wine into her glass. "Once your son has his accident, file for divorce immediately. Blame Roland for teaching him unsafe practices. I'll handle the witnesses." Jolene sipped her wine, calm and calculating. "And you're sure Colby won't suffer?" "It'll be quick. The container accident is already arranged. Your husband takes the fall for negligence. You get the money, and we disappear together. I've already got a place in Costa Rica." "What about Roland?" she asked. "I don't want him dead, just ruined." He'll be destroyed but alive. Everyone will think he killed his own son through incompetence. He'll probably drink himself to death within a year from guilt." She laughed. "I heard it through the screen. I heard it, and I felt bile rise in my throat. 26 years of marriage, 26 years of shared life, and she had spent it plotting my destruction, laughing about it in the living room we had built together." The final flash drive contained one last recording, the night before Colby died. My son, sitting in front of a camera, speaking directly to me. "Dad, I know about Mom. I confronted her tonight, told her I had evidence. She panicked, made a call. I heard her tell someone it had to happen tomorrow. I'm scared, but I can't run. They'll just hunt me down. I've hidden copies of everything with Uncle Dwayne, too, just in case. If something happens tomorrow, know that I love you. You were the best father anyone could ask for. You taught me to do the right thing, and that's what I'm trying to do now." I called Dwayne immediately, my hands shaking so violently I could barely dial. "Roland." "Thank God," he said before I could speak. "Colby gave me a package 3 weeks before he died. Told me only to open it if something happened to him. I've been waiting for your call. I knew something wasn't right, but I wanted to respect his wishes." I told him everything. "He knew they were going to kill him," I whispered, my voice breaking. "Jolene planned the whole thing with her lawyer. It's all here on video. Come to the shop. Bring everything. We're going to the FBI tonight." The agents took one look at the first video and acted immediately. Patricia Greer and Marcus Coleman, two of the FBI's sharpest, stayed up all night reviewing every file, every video, every spreadsheet. By morning, a task force had been mobilized. My son, dead, had built a bulletproof case. 7 members of the trafficking ring were arrested at dawn. Frank Newcomb was taken from his home, pajamas still on. Truck drivers were stopped mid-route, their cargo revealed, $12 million worth of heroin, hidden in false compartments. Ashford attempted to flee to Brazil with $2 million, 3 fake passports, and was caught at the gate. Jolene vanished, but the FBI tracked her to a resort in Mexico. She was arrested mid-spa treatment, her protests drowned out by handcuffs and law enforcement. News cameras captured her screams, claiming innocence, while the truth unfolded in vivid clarity. During the trial, every lie was exposed. Ashford had orchestrated the drug operation for 5 years, seducing Jolene 6 months before Colby's death, promising wealth if she helped eliminate the threat he posed. Every detail, every calculation, every cruel plan came to light. Jolene broke down on the stand. "No one was supposed to get hurt," she sobbed. Ashford promised Colby would only be injured for insurance. When I found out he was dead, I wanted to stop everything. But Ashford said we had to continue, or we'd go to prison. The prosecutor's words were ice cold. "You sold your son's life for money. Mrs. Thatcher, you sat in that courtroom and destroyed your husband while your son's body was barely cold in the ground. There's no version of this story where you are not a monster." Jerry Watts, Monica Flores, and Rick Polson all confessed to perjury. Ashford had paid them $50,000 each to lie about my safety record. They each received 2-year sentences. Jolene received life without parole. Ashford got the death penalty. The insurance company returned $800,000 to me, plus damages for fraud. Combined with settlements, nearly $2 million came into my hands. I donated everything except Colby's hidden $250,000. The $800,000 established the Colby Thatcher Foundation, supporting families who lost loved ones to violence. Settlement funds created scholarships at Colby's community college, and the $250,000 that became the Colby Thatcher Center for Workplace Safety, training workers to recognize illegal activity and report it safely. In just 2 years, we've helped expose 4 criminal operations, all thanks to Colby's courage. At Jolene's sentencing, she begged, "Roland, I'm sorry. I was blinded by greed. Can you ever forgive me?" I looked at this stranger in my wife's face and said what I could only say. Colby died believing in justice. He protected others from the poison you helped spread. You didn't just kill our son, You killed everything good we ever had. I'll never forgive you, but thank God Colby was nothing like you." Every Sunday, Dwayne and I visit Colby's grave. Breakfast from Murphy's Diner. 3 meals, just sitting there, talking, remembering, honoring the boy who faced death and refused to back down. He didn't just save me. He saved countless families. He became the hero I always knew he could be. And his legacy? It lives on in every life touched, every crime prevented, every community protected by the courage of K. The box sat there, empty now, but it had done its job. Colby had planned for every possibility. He had foreseen the darkness and prepared for it. And I knew one thing with certainty. This story is far from over. The next chapter has already begun.